Hello everybody and welcome to Roland's Travels. Today you join me on my walk as we go around the village of Winsley, which is close to Bradford-on-Avon here in Wiltshire. It's a really old village. Its roots can be traced back many years, many centuries. The first written record goes back to 1170 when it was called something like Winsley. So this is the crossroads at the start of the old part of the village, and we'll take you through here. So on this crossroads to my left is the village of Turley, down in that direction. Now I have done a video on Turley and I will pop a link in the description below for you to look at. To my right is Dane Rise, and now that leads to many of the more modern developments. Interesting little section of wall there. And we're going to carry on up into the old village. So as you can see, behind me is Bradford-on-Avon, Limply Stoke Bath ahead. Many of the buildings here, especially the older ones, are of stone construction, because as you'll see later, we're going to take you to have a look at where that stone would have come from to supply the village for its building work. There is a bypass now, so there isn't too much traffic comes along this road, but before that bypass this was a very tricky road to traverse because it gets quite narrow in the old village part as we come up round this corner. Of course, it's been Armistice Sunday today, so the War Memorial is covered in poppies. There is actually a website which details all the men that were lost in the war, and a few others I think as well. I'll try and find the link for that and pop that into the description for you. It shows you where they lived in the village and what happened to them. It's quite interesting, and maybe if you've got any family members in this area you might recognise a few names. Now we will take a walk through that lane, but we'll come back the other way and approach the War Memorial from the other side. Let's carry on this way. This is why we needed a bypass. Extremely narrow roads. So we have the old school, our social club. There's a modern school in the village, in the newer part of the village. So we just go around to the church area through this part. The old school there. There is a modern school, but we'll just walk along through here, through this old part of the village, come back round. Not miss anything out. We've got a pub down there, the Seven Stars. So this is the church here in Winsley. There's a rather nice clock face on the church. It's not particularly old, this one. You just take a walk through. So it's the rear of the church. And obviously a more modern part of the cemetery down here. Just wander back. As you can see, the properties are quite ancient here, about many hundreds of years. Just give you a look back. Certainly nice to see such well preserved old property, isn't it? Now, postbox here, and the reason for that, that's actually the old post office. So it's been closed for a few years. I do remember it some years ago being still open, but obviously it's now a private dwelling. Property behind the trees, quite screened there, and you can look this up online, Berghope Manor. Till recently it's been a sort of private hotel, but I think it's been sold recently, and now it's private dwellings. Very, very old, many hundreds of years old. That goes back to the year 1200, 1300, I think, a lot of that, and then been built on a little bit over the years. But again, more properties here worth looking at. The Wiltshire House, some people think that was a pub, but apparently it was not. Has been a shop though in the past. Now, before we go back in the village, so we're going to go down there in a moment, but before we do, I'm going to take you down this road and show you something quite interesting, and you'll see where the stone, or much of it, came from for the village as well as other places. On our left we have Dorothy House. Dorothy House is a hospice for the terminally ill, an excellent charity, does great work, but it's in the grounds of a property, or been built onto what was a property, very old, and we're going to take a look at that history a little bit later when we see a very old wall with an interesting story to tell. So there's part of the new and part of the old in Dorothy House Hospice. So you'll join me again just a little bit further down this hill when I'll explain more. As we walk down here, let's just tell you a little bit about Winsley's name. It probably derives from the word clearing, or lear, that was associated with an otherwise unrecorded Saxon settler called Wine. So, as we mentioned earlier, it was recorded in 1170 as Winsley, and that's in a document, so that's well documented that was the name of Winsley. Got some beautiful autumn colours coming on the trees now. There is an area of meadowland just a little further along that's owned by the good people of Winsley, and there's a really nice nature reserve. So let's see what's around this corner. So as we come round the corner, you'll see there's a junction here, and a very steep hill, to the appropriate name Muir Hill, and it's extremely steep down here. I'll show you the view of this section. There you go, and that takes you down to the River Avon down there. So we're almost at the point I want to show you. Now this is the old quarry, and this is where much of the stone for the village would have come from, and other quarries very, very close by as well. And the quarry stone would have been taken down to the Kennet and Avon Canal, down at the bottom of the hill, on old wooden railways. So down in the distance on the valley floor there, that's where you'll find the Kennet and Avon Canal. Just walking inside the quarry area now. Crunch of the autumn leaves under our feet, and there we go. See the stone up there, and interesting little entrance down there as well. Some of the stone from here would have been carried down to the canal for the help in the construction of the canal way back in 1803 as well, for things like the locks. So this isn't the old quarry. Quite a lot of stone would have been taken out of here, and at one time would have employed many, many people in the quarrying industry in Winsley. So we're back in Winsley village, and you can see some beautiful old cottages here. That's the turning we came out of just over there, and now we'll walk down through here. And you can see why this place needed a bypass, can't you? It narrows off considerably through this older part. Now over there is the Dorothy House hospice, and what was Winsley House, a very old property with obviously new bits built on. It has been in the past a school. That was for boys who needed special attention, shall we say. Again, some more old cottages here. Now this wall has been dated. There is a date stone, as you can see, along with the famous dogs. We'll talk about those. They're the Talbots. It's a hunting dog. Now they're not sure whether that's 1637 or 1657, as you can see. Now the dogs themselves, we'll talk about those. The Talbot, it's actually now extinct, but there were 3 of them, and you can see the other 2 down there. And research has shown, when they've looked at those dogs, when they've looked to renovate them, that one time they were probably very brightly coloured. I think some paint flakes were found in the mouths, or in the mouth of one of the Talbot dogs. It's often used as a crest, actually, but of course, as we say now, it's no longer with us. There's the Dorothy House, obviously the entrance we've seen, and a new property going up, in keeping with the old, as much as you can, of course. I'll move out into the road a little bit, give you more of a view. This is Winsley Methodist Church here. Little lane goes back to where the old post office area was that we looked at earlier. And ahead of us is the Winsley Bowls Club. That's been going a long time. And to the right, we're going to go through there in a moment, is the cricket club and the village hall. Firstly, we'll show you the properties just around this part of the road. And the 7 Stars down there. And we'll look back in the direction that we've just come from. So this is the 7 Stars at Winsley. And there was history of the forge. And this leads us back to the old Victorian school. So we'll just go along just to here and then go back round past the Bowls Club. Take a look at that. 7 Stars has been a pub since the early part of the 18th century, quite a long time ago now, and originally, like many of the buildings here, would have had thatched roofs prior to having the tiles or slates put on them. So let's take a look around the little lane here. As I say, the Winsley Bowls Club, founded 1903. So they've had their centenary. This is the little clubhouse of the Bowls Club. And then we have the Winsley Village Hall as well. Nice to have all those trees in your garden. So the cricket club is down the lane. Nice gardens there at the manor. So we can't go in, it is private property, but I'll give you a little glimpse from here. And then we'll walk our way back to the War Memorial. Now, if you're enjoying the video, please do subscribe to my channel. It's always appreciated when you do. And if you give it a thumbs up, a like, that's also excellent as well. It helps us with the algorithms to let more people see the places that we visit. YouTube will recommend the videos if we get a few of those, and you're very welcome to leave a comment as well. The little notification bell, you may have missed that in the past, but if you click that, every time we put a new video on, you'll be notified. And because, you know, quite often we can miss things we'd like to see. Nice little paddock area here. And again, cottages that are 300-400 years old, easily, maybe 5 in some cases, are found plentiful in Winsley. So there is a newer part which was built in the really sort of 40s, 50s, 60s and a bit in the 70s, plus the odd infill of house here and there. Nice and quiet, isn't it? So when we turn this corner, we'll be heading in line with the War Memorial. And gate to the manor there. There we go, and the War Memorial ahead. I will pop links in to the description of things that you can look at to find out more information about Winsley and its past. There's a public footpath down there that will take us down to Turley, and again I mentioned that I have got a video on Turley for you to look at. I will film it again sometime because that was done live on Periscope. Just look at the age of that building there. That's amazing, isn't it? There you go. That's Manor Farm. So originally this would have all been farmland, and the old farm belonging to the manor, the lord of the manor. We decorated the tree with poppies for today. And you'll be able to check out the website where people who gave their lives in the wars are mentioned. And that brings us back full circle. So I hope you've enjoyed the walk with me today here in Winsley. It's been nice having you along. I've got plenty more walks planned, take you to some interesting places to see. And so please do subscribe to the channel, and we look forward to welcoming you on more future Rowland's Travels. Thank you very much. Do take care.